Hello, viewers. Today is Friday, November 8th, 2024. I'm here to share my thoughts and opinions on the results of the 2024 presidential elections. Today, specifically, I would like to talk about the three battleground states that Democrats were relying upon very heavily in the 2024 elections. Those were the Midwestern states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. So yet again, another election cycle, another loss for the Democrats, and largely due to the fact that they are not able to carry Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. In 2016, Donald Trump won those three critical states against Hillary Clinton to win the presidency. In 2020, Biden won those states, but he also won the other states like Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona to win the presidency. But nevertheless, the three blue wall states were critical in actually winning the presidency for Joe Biden as well in 2020. And now in 2024, Kamala Harris lost Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania to lose the presidency. Remember that had she won those three states, she would have reached the 270 electoral college votes. It would have been just 270 versus 268 for Donald Trump. So it again, they lost, especially in Wisconsin. It was again 29,000 margin in the 20,000s. So in 2016, Hillary lost by around 21,000 votes. In 2020, Joe Biden won by around 22,000 votes, and now Kamala Harris has lost Wisconsin by 29,000 odd votes. Similarly, in Michigan, I think the margin is a little higher this time for Donald Trump. He won by around 74,000. At least the margin as of now is around 74,000 odd votes. But Biden won this in 2020 by around 144,000 votes. So nevertheless, if you look at this, what are the lessons to be learned for the Democrats? Because from a Republican perspective, I think they have done very well. They have actually done very well in the red states, but they've also done very well in the blue states, in the red counties, in the blue states, as well as in the blue counties, in the blue states. So they have done reasonably well, especially in New Jersey and Virginia. So the Republicans are in a good position to win the Electoral College in general. So let's look at the Democrats. Can they rely on Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania and win the Electoral College? And in my view, I think they have to move away from those states as their most important states to win the presidency. And the reason for that is they have lost Pennsylvania 2 out of the 3 times, and this time they are lost by around 140,000 odd votes. So it looks as though that Pennsylvania is looking like Ohio now. And the reason I'm saying that it is looking like Ohio is because of the fact that in 2008 and 2012, Barack Obama won the state of Ohio. And from 2016 onwards, Democrats have been losing the state of Ohio, this time by well over 8 points, I think. So they are losing Ohio. They started losing by a smaller margin, but then now in this election, it's close to 8-9 points, I believe. So Pennsylvania, to me, is beginning to look like Ohio. That does not mean that they cannot win Pennsylvania, but I think it's going to be increasingly difficult for Democrats to just rely on Pennsylvania to win the Electoral College. Then you go to Michigan. Michigan is also very close to the voter profile in terms of the demographics, also in terms of the racial composition of that state, mirrors closely with Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. And even though Joe Biden won in 2020 by well over 140,000 votes, there is no guarantee that in subsequent elections that Democrats are going to repeat that performance. So it was a close margin in 2016, a reasonably good margin in 2024, but a very good margin for Biden in 2020. But I don't think that the trend line is looking good for the Democrats in Michigan. And then Wisconsin, I also always maintain that it is always a flip of a coin state. and the margins in the last three elections were 20,000 odd votes. So where am I going here? Moving forward, I think Democrats are going to be uh, Democrats are going to be in a very bad situation in all these three states. And if they're going to rely just on these three states to get to 270, they are going to be surprised, just like they were surprised in 2024. So what should they do? And I think, in my perspective, they should go back to what they did after the 2004 loss. They had Howard Dean became the DNC chair after the John Kerry loss to George W. Bush in 2004. And then he said that I'm going to have a 50-state strategy. I'm going to invest in all the 50 states, not just necessarily for the presidential elections, but I'm also going to compete in the local elections, in the local state senate or state assembly. He wanted everyone, the Democrats, to fight on each one of those even red states and all the 50 states, as a matter of fact, and you invested in them. So now is the time for the Democrats to go back to that Howard Dean strategy. They had to invest in pretty much all the 50 states. I'll give you an example. There are three states that Barack Obama won in both 2008 and 2012. Those were Florida, Iowa, and Ohio. What did the Democrats do this time? They did not invest time, effort, and money on any of these three states. They actually literally gave up, and they gave these three states and those electoral college votes to the Republicans by default. And you cannot win an electoral college if we continue this strategy. So these three states are just an example. Then you look at Texas. The demographics are changing in Texas, but you are never going to take advantage of those things unless you invest in that state. So they have not invested much, and I think it's high time that they start investing in the state of Texas. So the long and short of this is they need to compete. They need to go and compete in Kansas. They need to go and compete in Indiana, Missouri, Iowa, as I already mentioned. So they need to go and try to get more votes in those states so that they can become competitive. They're not going to win those states overnight. It might take 2, 3, 4, 5, even 5 cycles. But unless you invest, unless you put your time and talk to those voters, you're never going to get there. But most of the Democrats, the strategists, feel that again 2024 is a very close election in terms of the electoral college, especially in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Had they won that, they would have gotten to 270. But that's probably true. But at the same time, they are not going to win these states repeatedly like they used to do before. So their answer is that we might be competitive in Georgia and North Carolina. In my view, Georgia and North Carolina, yes, the demographics are changing, but I don't think Democrats are well positioned to win those states consistently for at least 2 more election cycles. So you can invest on those states for the long term. Georgia, of course, the demographics are changing. They have a good chance there, but there is no guarantee that they're going to win in 2028. But they have to win some governorships. They have got the 2 senators now, but they have to get re-elected. They have to invest more money in Georgia before that happens consistently. And then if you look at North Carolina, I think 2008, when Barack Obama won, was an aberration. And again, the demographics are changing in North Carolina. The profile of the people who are moving to North Carolina are changing. And those are the people that tend to vote for Democrats. But still, North Carolina as a state is inherently a red state when it comes to presidential elections. For Democrats to change that, again, they need to invest more time, effort, money. They did work very hard this time, but that's not enough. And most likely in the next 2 or 3 election cycles, they can try to change North Carolina and try to make it as a reliable state for them in terms of electoral college. Then let's look at 2 states that they might lose their edge. One of them is Virginia, where they have lost not significantly, but close to around 70 to 100,000 votes this time. And that's not a good sign for them. So they need to go back and not just think that it's a real blue state and then ignore the state of Virginia. Then a very interesting one is New Jersey. I think Kamala Harris has won New Jersey by around 5 points this time. And that's not a very healthy sign because for Democrats to win the Electoral College, New Jersey is a very pivotal state. And they need to go back and invest their time, effort, and money in the state of New Jersey if they have any chance of winning the Electoral College in the future. So the long and short of this is they need to go back to the Howard Dean model. They need to invest in all the 50 states. And that's when they can have a good confidence that they have, if they don't get Pennsylvania, they can get this state. If they don't get Wisconsin, they can get this state. So that's the only way you can win. Republicans have that advantage now. If they don't get Pennsylvania, they can always get Georgia and North Carolina. If they don't get Wisconsin, they can always get Arizona. So Republicans have that advantage. Democrats do not have that advantage. So Democrat needs to get to that point, and they can get to that point only by investing in all the 50 states. That's it for me today. I'll come back to you with another episode tomorrow. Till then, take care.